Level 1, Street Fighter. You are 17 years old and you live in Stockton, California, which is not a city that produces a lot of things the rest of the country wants to claim. What it produces is people who understand arithmetic early, who has more, who has less. What happens when those two things meet in a parking lot outside a liquor store on a Tuesday night? You have never trained. You have never wrapped your hands, or studied a stance, or been told to breathe out when you throw. What you have done is end 7 fights in locations that have no names. A school stairwell, a bus stop on Charterway, the side entrance of a 7-Eleven, and end them in ways that concern the people who witness them more than the winning does. You don't feel like a fighter. You feel like someone who cannot control the speed of what happens when someone puts their hands on you first. A gym is about to give that speed a name. The name is going to come with a cost you cannot yet calculate. Level 2, Gym Beginner. The gym is on Carpenter Road in a converted industrial unit that used to be an auto parts warehouse. The roll-up door stays half open most mornings because the ventilation doesn't work, and Ray's decided years ago that manageable smell was better than fighters who couldn't breathe. You go in for the first time on a Wednesday in March. You are 17. Ray shows you how to wrap your hands once, slowly, watching your face to see if you are the type who pretends to understand or the type who asks when they don't. You are neither. You just watch his hands and try to replicate what they did. You get it 70% correct. He tells you to get on the bag. The first 2 weeks establish what you are not. You are not patient. You are not technical. You throw with everything you have and aim at the approximate center of the target. And Reyes watches this from a stool near the cage with the expression of a man reading a document in a language he mostly knows. He has been coaching in Stockton for 22 years. On the 5th day, he holds a focus mitt in front of your face and tells you to hit it. You do. He moves it. You miss. He says do it again. You do it 300 times that session, in sets of 20-30 seconds between. And at no point does he tell you that you are improving, because improvement is not the point yet. The point is repetition until the movement stops requiring a decision. He is building a library in your body before you understand what the books are for. The system is a wrestling base with a Muay Thai striking overlay, built not for highlights but for the moments when you are tired and hurt and need to function anyway. He drills one entry at a time, a double leg from level change converted to a trip when the sprawl comes early. He does not move to the clinch until the takedown lives in your legs without thinking. 3 months in, something shifts. The technique is still rough, still carrying habits the Stockton parking lot's installed. What shifts is the sound when you hit the bag, denser, more complete. Reyes hears it from across the room. He looks at you for a long moment. Then he writes something on his clipboard and doesn't show you what it says. You have never had anyone watch you this carefully. He has never explained what he sees. Neither of you says what this is. Both of you keep showing up. Level 3 Amateur. The amateur circuit in Northern California runs through community centers in Fresno and rec halls in Sacramento and one regional tournament in Modesto that smells like floor wax and the specific anxiety of young men who have trained for months to find out if it was enough. You enter it at 18, 8 months after Carpenter Road. Reyes enters you without ceremony, a date, a venue, a weight class. You understand by now that the absence of preparation talk is its own kind of preparation. Your first 5 amateur bouts last a combined total of less than 9 minutes. 4 knockouts, 1 submission in the second round. The opponents have records and experience, and none of that changes what happens in the first 30 seconds, which is that your timing operates on a clock they have not encountered, and by the time they begin to adjust, the fight is already over. Reyes watches from the corner and says less after each bout. Left elbow on the clinch entry. Right hand drops on the reset. 1 submission in the afternoon final against a division thirstler from Fresno State who has not been finished in 4 years. The finish comes off a guillotine Reyes drilled into your game 6 months ago. He watches the tape afterward and tells you your shot selection in the second round was undisciplined. He says nothing about the finish. The loss comes at the Northern California Regional MMA Championships, your 11th bout. You dominate for a round and a half against a fighter from a San Jose gym whose promoter has been running these events for 11 years. The decision goes the other way. The crowd reacts immediately. The scoring is not explained. Reyes sits with you afterward in a locker room under fluorescent lights that hum at a frequency just below comfortable. He is quiet for a long time. Then he says, "They can't take what you're about to build." He doesn't elaborate. You don't ask. On the drive back to Stockton, he coughs twice. Short, dry, contained, the sound of something being managed, not expressed. You look at him. Every finish came before the midpoint of the second round. Your hands have cost you nothing yet. That accounting is coming, and it does not arrive with a warning. Level 4, Prospect. You turned professional at 19 at a regional promotion called Central Valley Combat that runs its events in a converted events center off Airport Way in Stockton. 300 people in folding chairs. Your opponent is 26 years old with a record of 8-2 and has never been knocked out. Times in the first minute, and that a better opponent would have punished it on the second. You tell him you know? He says do better. That is the full debrief. The record builds the way a structure builds, not quickly, but in a way that becomes hard to argue with. You go 7-0 in 14 months, 6 knockouts, 1 decision that wasn't close. You fight in Stockton twice more, once in Sacramento, twice in Las Vegas on the undercard of a regional promotion at a small casino off the Strip where the crowd is mostly there for the gambling. A former WSOF contracted fighter, a Brazilian jiu-jitsu specialist from Belo Horizonte who came to San Diego on a training visa 3 years ago and stayed. The combination from Carpenter Road ends both of them. After the Vegas fight, a man named Garrett introduces himself outside the locker room. He has been adjacent to combat sports for 20 years without acquiring a title for any of it. That is how it is supposed to sound. Reyes asks one question on the drive back to Stockton. He asks who Garrett is. You tell him what you know. Reyes is quiet. Then, make sure he needs you more than you need him. You don't tell Reyes. You don't tell Garrett. You manage it quietly, with the working assumption that deferred costs and deferred payments come due on the same schedule. Level 5, Regional Contender. You are 21. Your record is 11-0, 9 knockouts. The matchmakers at 2 mid-tier promotions now call Garrett first because Garrett answers faster and speaks their language. Availability windows, broadcast tape requirements. What a name is currently worth on a regional card. You don't negotiate what your name is worth. Garrett handles it. You don't remember deciding that was the arrangement. The fight that moves you from prospect to contender happens at a Bellator prelim card in San Jose, televised regionally, 4,000 people. Your opponent is from Tbilisi, a Georgian wrestler training at an AKA affiliate in San Jose for 2 years. Ranked 9th by one major organization, not knocked out since his 3rd professional fight 6 years ago. He believes experience produces a specific advantage over young American strikers. He is not wrong generally. He is wrong specifically. The knockout comes at 2 minutes and 31 seconds of the 3rd round. A left hook to the body that folds him, and a right hand that finishes it. The arena goes loud in a way regional cards don't usually manage. Reyes tells you your weight distribution on the body shot was wrong, and that you reached on the follow-up. You tell him you know. He nods. That is the full celebration. What is waiting in the corridor outside is a different conversation. Garrett has 2 people with him you haven't met. One of them is from a management company with ties to a top 5 promotion. The numbers are real. The first genuine purse projection of your career. At this point, Garrett is the one who answers when things need answering. 2 people who used to train alongside you at Carpenter Road stopped being available to the camp within the month. Not because you removed them. There is no conversation you can point to. Their schedules simply stopped aligning, and Garrett had already arranged replacements before you noticed the gaps. This is not how you would describe it to anyone else, but this is what happened. The left shoulder requires 3 days of ice now, not 2. You don't put this in writing anywhere. You are 1 fight from a top 5 ranking. That is exactly when the thing holding you together begins pulling in a different direction. Level 6, Ranked Fighter. You are ranked 5th in the world by 2 organizations and 4th by the 3rd. The number appears in broadcast graphics and event programs and on websites that fighters at this level check without admitting they check. Inside the sport, the ranking is a specific kind of pressure. Not from people doubting you, but from people waiting to see if the number was an accident. What it means practically. 3 fights a year, arenas holding 8 to 12,000. Las Vegas at the T-Mobile Arena on a pay-per-view undercard. Sao Paulo at the Ginásio Ibirapuera on a card that goes at 11 p.m. local time to hit the American broadcast window, in front of Brazilian fans who are loud in a way American arenas are not. Manchester at the AO Arena, where the crowd is hostile from the first walkout because your opponent is from Bolton, 30 minutes away. And when you knock him out in the second round, the building goes quiet in a specific way. You keep less of each one than the math should produce. The body's invoice is now a managed condition, not a temporary inconvenience. Left shoulder, 2 cortisone injections per year. The second time to peak during camp and fade before the pre-fight medical. Right knee, a grinding quality present for 18 months, addressed by a protocol that keeps it functional without documenting its actual state. Both hands, 40 minutes of ice every morning before the first session, or the knuckles won't close into a proper fist. None of this is in any official record. Fighters who appear in official records don't get licensed. The arithmetic resolves the same way every time. Reyes still runs the technical preparation. Reyes has not addressed this directly. What he does is watch sessions more carefully than he used to and say less afterward. There is a fighter from Albuquerque ranked second in the world who watches your footage the way a mechanic examines an engine before signing off on a repair. He has found the part that fails under sustained load. He has not said publicly what it is. The title shot is a real conversation now. That is when the first thing you cannot manage quietly announces itself. Level 7, title contender? The title fight is confirmed in February for a June date at the T-Mobile Arena in Las Vegas. The champion is from Sydney, 29 years old, 3-year title holder, 4 defenses, all decisions, none close. Technically precise in a way that makes him hard to finish and easy to underestimate, because his fights look less like violence than like a man doing a job he has done a long time. The purse on your side is the largest single payment of your career by a factor of 3. Garrett slides the contract across a coffee shop table in Henderson on a Tuesday morning. 8 weeks before fight night, your left shoulder tears during a wrestling drill. Fully, the rotator cuff, managed and injected and carefully not documented for 3 years, fails in a way that makes the camp doctor's face go quiet and specific. He tells you clearly that you need surgery and 4 to 6 months of recovery. You get a second opinion. Same answer. You don't get a third. Garrett takes 11 hours to return your call. When he does, he uses the word situation repeatedly without making any commitments, and communicates through implication that withdrawing will trigger penalty clauses that consume most of what the fight would have paid. You do the arithmetic without asking him to clarify. You fight anyway, not because you don't understand the risk, because the penalty structure is its own injury, and the shoulder is at least the one you know how to manage. Reyes rebuilds the game plan around what the shoulder can produce. He drills the entries until they are sufficient. He never uses the word optimal. He does not acknowledge the shoulder directly. This is also how he communicates. 12 days before fight night, at 6 a.m. in the Carpenter Road gym while the building is still empty, you run the double leg entry from level change 200 times on the heavy bag. The shoulder fires on each rep. The combination is still there, the same one Reyes installed when you were 17 in this same building, in this same air that still smells like rubber and effort absorbed into concrete walls. Garrett has taken the contract. The shoulder has taken the timeline. The combination is the only thing that has not been renegotiated. The fight is on. The question is whether what remains is enough. Level 8, champion? The fight ends at 2 minutes and 44 seconds of the 4th round. The champion is defending a guillotine attempt when you convert the scramble to a back take and sink the rear naked choke in the transition. The same positional sequence Reyes built into your right arm in month 4 on Carpenter Road, running automatically now in the 4th round of a championship fight in Las Vegas in front of 14,000 people. He taps. You are 23 years old. The youngest champion in the organization's history at light heavyweight by 16 months. The belt is heavier than you expected. You sit with it in the dressing room while the room cycles through the people it always cycles through: cutman, commission doctor, promotional photographer, the producer who needs 2 minutes for the post-event package. The room fills and empties and fills again. Reyes retired from cornering 7 months ago when his knees made travel impossible. The agreement was that he would watch from Stockton and call afterward. You look at the belt across your knees and think about calling him before anyone else. You defend the title twice in 11 months. A knockout in the 2nd round in Sao Paulo at the Ginásio Ibirapuera, in front of a crowd that was loud until it wasn't. 4 months of recovery, still sufficient to end fights before the later rounds make the deficit visible. The fighter from Albuquerque now holds the 185-pound title. But because the ancillary rights structure created terms he could not control and would not sign, you can keep winning. But the question of what winning is still for has no good answer in the room. Level 9, retirement. You are 32 years old. You live in a 2-bedroom apartment in Henderson, Nevada, which is not Stockton and not the house in Summerlin that the money was supposed to buy. It is somewhere between those two things, which is a reasonable description of where you ended up in most respects. The final fight is listed as a no contest. What happened in the third round? A sequence the Nevada Athletic Commission reviewed for 7 weeks before issuing a finding that satisfied no one. Ended the night without a result that either fighter's record reflects accurately. The record says what the record says. The body's accounting as of the last voluntary examination. Both hands with early arthritic change in the metacarpal joints, more pronounced on the left. The repaired shoulder at 71% of pre-surgery range of motion. Partial hearing reduction in the right ear from accumulated impact across 31 professional fights. Scar tissue above both eyes. The right knee received surgery 18 months before retirement and took 6 months to clear. By the time it did, the question had answered itself. You earned $5.3 million across your professional career. You kept $740,000. The gap lives inside a decade of Garrett's compounding decisions, the Delaware entity, the ancillary structures, the management percentages stacked inside deferred revenue arrangements that required a forensic accountant to map. The report arrived on a Tuesday afternoon in a downtown Las Vegas office. You read it in full. You folded it, put it in your jacket pocket, and stood in the parking structure for a while without thinking about anything specific. Ray's died 14 months before you retired. His heart, which he had been managing privately for longer than anyone around him understood, stopped on a Thursday morning at his home on the north side of Stockton. He was 71. His daughter called you because in his phone you were listed under your first name only. No last name, no label, just the name. The way you'd been in that phone since you were 17 learning to wrap your hands in a warehouse on Carpenter Road. You flew to Stockton for the funeral. You sat in the third row. You didn't speak. You watch more than you say. One afternoon a kid stays after the session ends. He is 16, compact, from North Las Vegas, with the specific stillness of someone who learned stillness for reasons that had nothing to do with patience. He shadow boxes alone in the corner while the others leave, not performing, just moving, finding something in his hands that the street gave him before any gym could name it. You watch him from across the room without saying anything. He doesn't know about the shoulder or the ice or the accountant's report or Garrett or Ray's or what it costs to carry something real through a world that has more ways to take it from you than you will ever see coming. He knows he can hit. He knows something happens when he moves that doesn't happen when other people move. He doesn't know what it costs. He'll find out. They always do.